Hello, Hollywood Times viewers. Judy Shields here. Today, I am so excited to welcome a voiceover actor, and now author, Nick Shakoour. Hi, Nick. How are you?
I'm doing dandy. How you doing, Judy?
I'm doing wonderful. Nick's got something behind him. I got something up here. I've got something right here in my hands, and it's Nick's newest book. Let's talk about your book here. It's called Transformer. I'm thinking, Transformer. Okay. Awakening from a Spiritual Coma. That's pretty cool. Where'd that title come from? Explain to us about that and the cover.
It seemingly came out of the blue. I originally entitled it something along the lines of The Breadcrumbs of Life because it was written in a really sappy way. and, uh, and upon completion of the book, before my cousin Caroline from Greece, who I brought on to be the editor, she's an English teacher. So I wanted her to help me with sentence structure, but I didn't want her to write it for me. That was the whole
Okay.
intent behind the book. 2.5 weeks before she comes, I'm washing my hands in the sink. I'm temporarily blinded. I literally temporarily go blind. And then the image of the book cover and the title just come up to my face with my head kind of floating in space. And I thought, this is not appropriate for how I wrote the book. What is this? And the whole thing, the writing, the alarm clock font for the subtitle, everything. So I got inspired when I was walking my dog and I thought, oh my gosh, the book is about superheroes. It's a superhero theme and it leads to the ultimate superheroes, God, Jesus Christ, Holy Spirit. And oh my gosh, I got to tell my cousin to stop editing. So she was thrown for a loop and she said, what do you mean stop editing? I'm going to be there in 2.5 weeks. I said, I'm going to gut the whole book, make it super fast, fun, super sarcastic. I'm going to inject a lot of my personality into it. And it's going to be superhero themed. So all the people in the book that poured into my life get a superpower. And she just went, wow. I said, I'll see you in 2.5 weeks.
I was going to ask you about that because I love that in this book. I mean, I was going, superpower, what? Go back, read it. It's like, that's super cool.
Ah, thanks.
Well, I mean, what inspired you to do that for these characters? I mean, they're characters, but people in your book. And
There's some of the most amazing people that really took the time to pour into my life. And initially, they were still there. They were still in the book originally.
yeah,
And, you know, and I didn't give them superpowers. I just would talk about how they affected my life and the impact that made. And it was, again, slower paced, a little bit sappy. And so I went in and I'm like, I'm going to gut all of this and I'm just going to shorten it and summarize who they were to me by giving them superpowers. And that's how that came about.
genius. Bravo. I was telling Nick before we started this recording when I got the book, I was so excited. And I'm just like, this is a great picture. And then I open it up and I'm like, oh my gosh, it's got big print for me. It's
Big
so
print, yeah.
amazing. I love that you have that. Did you intend to do it that way?
From the start, this image came to mind because one of my sisters, she instinctively will open up either a magazine or a book and she'll try to pinch to zoom in on the writing. And she'll be like, oh my gosh, I keep forgetting it's a book. So that was going on in my mind while I was writing this. And I thought, you know what? I want people to feel like they're looking at this book on a tablet. And so I don't want anyone to feel the inclination to want to pinch and zoom in on the writing because it's too small for them. So let me just make it a big size 14. Let me have the formatter create extra white space between each sentence so that you do not lose your place. Because I hate it when you read a book and you lose your spot. And so I'm like, that's it. I'm going for this. This is how the book's, it's going to be big and loud and in your face.
Folks, it's a good read and it's fast. Meaning, it feels like it. You're turning the page, it's midnight, you're like, I gotta go to sleep. It's one of those
Thank
books
you.
you just
Thank
can't
you.
put it down.
Thank you.
So Easter came this weekend and I had to put it down. So I had to finish reading it after
Oh,
Easter
wow.
supper.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was great. I ride a train to my day job, and so that's been good. I get to read it on the train. So it was the first time I
Perfect.
didn't see passing cars because I was so into the book.
Oh, that's amazing. That's amazing. I'm glad you loved it.
So there's a lot of holidays and vacations coming up, folks. So there you go. This is the best book to take with you on that trip. Because you might see different things. You will see things differently after you read this book. So take it with you on your vacation. That's very good. So where did the title come from? How did you think of that?
The title appeared with that as well. So when I said
Mhm.
I was washing my hands in the sink, and yeah, the cover came, and I thought, this is odd. My head is floating in space. Why is my head floating in space? And then boom, the title came in gold letters, Transformer, and then boom, alarm clock font, blue, awakening from a spiritual coma. And I thought, what? It was so vivid when it came to me. It was a strong directive of this is what the book's going to look like and feel like and sound like. And now it's up to you to go in and gut the whole thing and change it so it matches the cover.
Exactly. Well, had you been kind of like struggling? What made you think of this book? Were you struggling on that kind of stuff, and that's how it came to you? That God sent it your way? What's that all about?
No, I imagined originally a black and white photo of me, like a professional,
Yeah.
one of those boring, autobiography pictures,
Yeah.
and the title, Breadcrumbs of Life, and
Yeah.
just so cheesy. And
Sappy.
that's what I was thinking of, and sappy, and
Yeah.
I was I was at the height of experiencing these spiritual encounters at the time, so it kind of was fitting to write in that way.
Yeah.
But once something happened, uh, you know, along the line, and I started to find my voice as I was writing it, that's when the cover came, the vision of the real cover. And I thought, wow, this doesn't match at all. And that's what prompted me to rewrite a lot of the book.
So where were you when all of a sudden this came to mind? I'm gonna write this book. I'm gonna write a book about what you went through. When did that come to you?
I was logging my encounters as they were happening, but I never thought I was going to write a book leading up to an encounter because I was interested in doing other things besides writing a book. It
Mhm.
takes a lot. I have so much respect for authors and writers who can sit there and go, tick, 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 tick. It's not my thing. Or, well, it did become my thing, but
Yes.
after sitting there and feeling that burning desire to want to do it, I just decided to embrace it and tell myself, okay, I got to buckle down. I don't think I'm going to be working with a publisher. I'm going to have to do this the old fashioned way and actually sit here and write it, bring on my cousin to oversee it, make sure I'm not, put up some guardrails, teach me the rules of writing so that I can then break them and go full force over the next year to year and a half of this.
So how did you balance doing this and The Chosen? Were you doing The Chosen at the time when this came to you?
I was. So luckily, again, God's timing worked it out to where I wasn't scheduled as much as the other actors on The Chosen. So it allotted me the freedom to sit there and write, go to set, leave, write for a few weeks, go back to set. And it all just worked out scheduling wise. But I will say I'd wake up sometimes at 3 a.m. or 2 a.m. because I'd get an idea. I'd be like, oh, I need to change that in the book. And I'd pull my laptop over to my bed and then I would stay up till probably 7 a.m. and then I'd sleep
Well,
the rest of the day.
yeah.
So it was a lot. It was a lot. It
Well, then how did you celebrate finishing and publishing the book?
was awesome. My good friend Kelly, who lives in Utah,
Oh.
she went and spoke to the bookstore called Moon's Rare Books in Provo, Utah. She said, "You got to do your opening there. We got to do it there." I said, "Okay, I'm down to talk to him." And me and the owner hit it off over the phone. Also, his office manager there, Karen, manager of the whole bookstore. It just fit. And then I did a signing there. It was
Oh.
cool because it was more like a community gathering and a celebration than like an actor doing an author signing.
Oh.
People were coming in groups and clusters, and I got to know people one on one for 10 minutes at a time instead of here you go, thank you, here you go, thank you.
Oh.
It
Yeah.
was so cool, and um, it was the perfect place to do the book launch. So that's how I celebrated it.
So those are the pictures you sent me, which I'll put up with this
Yeah,
episode.
yeah, yeah.
Oh, that you look so happy. It's like, boy, you must have been so sore from all that smiling because you just looked amazing.
You know what? I wasn't because I was genuinely happy to meet people
Yeah.
there, and I think I'm innately sort of like it's probably obvious at this point. I am a people person. I do get tired sometimes, but I grew up in a family of 300 people. Like our weddings
Mm.
and parties consisted of, you know, 200, 100, 300, 400. It's
Wow.
I grew up around that, and we'd stay up till 1 a.m. talking. So for me, doing like a 3, 4 hour window of a book signing was not a big deal.
Let's talk about that car you drove, your Toyota. What was that like?
Amazing. It was my mom's hand-me-down Toyota Corolla. When I'd moved
Corolla.
out on my own for the first time, it's in the chapter Keeping It Real. And it was the first time I was moving out on my own. My parents were moving to the Central Valley, and I was going to continue on going to SF State, transferring there from junior college. And I had not saved up enough money to buy a car because when I was living with my parents during my part-time job years in high school, I was always contributing to the household financially. Like I would just give my parents money. So I never got a chance to save up for my own car. So as a thank you, my mom and dad decided to hand me my mom's 97 Gold Toyota Corolla. But the gas mileage was awesome on it, so I can't complain. And I think back and I kind of miss those times that I used to drive around in that Toyota Corolla that I drove for a long time.
Uh, Another part maybe you could talk about. I wanted to ask you about Luna, the Luna Park. You called it Ghetto Disneyland. What's this name? Is it Grandizier? Grandizier? What?
He's called Grandizer. So Luna Park was an amusement park in
Okay.
Lebanon, in Beirut. And it, it was, I call it Ghetto Disneyland because, in the book I described the rides smelling like leaking gas and making weird noises. But it was so fun because as a kid, that was like a dream back then for your parents to take you there. Kind of like how it is when kids want to go to Disneyland here. So that was that. And Grandizer was a sentient robot. It was a Japanimation cartoon that was translated into Arabic. And I'd watch his cartoon every day on TV and say his catchphrase with him, which was Grandizer Intolic, which is Grandizer Takeoff. So I'd always want to ride him when I'd go to Luna Park because he was one of those characters on the carousel.
Okay.
So, so the theme of transformation is all throughout the book, whether it's watching Grandizer on TV as a kid,
Yeah.
this robot who transformed into a spaceship and flew, or, your life transforming, or your relationships transforming, all of it.
Yeah. If you don't mind, let's talk briefly about your mom and dad. I have the page here, which is early, about their superpowers. Let's talk about your mom's superpower.
Yeah, yeah. So they're the next heroes I talk
Yeah.
about after Grandizer. And I mention how my mom's, superpower is healing people by openly sharing her heart, displaying empathy and sharing her heart. And that's kind of what I noticed right away, right off the bat as a kid. Like she had a deep empathy towards strangers she would meet and always willing to lend a hand or give advice. And my dad's superpower, because he used to be in the Lebanese Marines, his
Wow.
superpower is like combating, maneuvering with strength and love. And so I got to see both sides. They were on the opposite sides of the same coin. Like they were very complementary towards each other. And watching them using their superpowers inspired me as a kid because we were in a country that was very unstable and there was always, wars going on and you could be bombed at the drop of a hat.
Yeah.
So to be covered with that um, gave me a sense of security and safety. Like, you know what, no matter what, my mom and dad are always going to make sure I'm taken care of.
I wanted to ask you, what was your superpower before you got your first voiceover gig to now after you've written this? What was it then and what is it now?
You know what I've learned throughout this whole thing? Uh, we're capable of having many different superpowers as human beings. Like everybody has at least one for sure, and they don't even know it. It could be your humor, your sense
Oh,
of humor. Like some people might call that my superpower, like my
yeah.
sense of sarcasm and humor. And I'm able to use it to make people laugh. So that in itself could be considered a superpower. And these superpowers are gifted to us from God because it's not something that we innately necessarily force ourselves to be. It's just
Yeah.
something that we are. Somebody else's superpower might be this overwhelming sense of love that they show to a stranger. I mean, I guess that's one of them that I could say is, being a little bit sarcastic and funny and bringing humor to a situation and throwing people off with my sense of humor in a way that they thought they weren't going to be thrown off. But there's a very specific superpower that I won't mention now because I don't want to spoil it. But
Right.
in the chapter, my superpower, and that's what Mr. Benton, my PE teacher, helps me realize for the
Yes.
first time.
Good one. So yeah, so folks, you got to get it because that's a good one to read. So now you have to buy the book to find out what Nick's talking about. So let's kind of briefly talk about your career because it starts out with you, doing like to you voiceovers was something, and I think you did like, is it gaming? Is that what it was that you first started to do?
Video games, I
Video
started doing.
games. Yeah. So what was it like sitting there across from that gentleman who kind of put you off for months before you start? How did you do that? Did you sat there and he told you, do you need time? And you said, nope. What did you do? Did you just have to do different voices for 10 minutes? What was that like?
Yeah, so I pestered the gentleman for 7 months straight with
Wow.
call after call. And hey, he kept telling me to call back in all fairness. So I was just listening. He never said, don't call me. So he was somewhat interested. And and what happened was I walked in the book I talk about, I'm sitting in the lobby waiting for him to come in. And he finally frantically comes in, slams the stack of scripts down on the coffee tables and says, you've got 10 minutes. And he leaves.
Man.
And because I didn't know what I didn't know, I'd been interning at a voiceover studio at the time.
Okay.
I didn't really know character breakdown. I didn't really know any of those technical things about acting, nor was I interested. I just knew that, within that same chapter, I loved prank calls. And my friends had, there's a part in the chapter that I talk about that prank calling a restaurant as an elderly grandmother or whatever it may be.
Oh,
I just knew I loved characters and I loved people and I loved to emulate them. That's all I knew. And going off that, each image of a character that I saw in the book wasn't any different than a real person that I'd meet. So I was instantly able to take on their persona, be them, and do it while throwing caution at the wind, not even judging myself. And next thing I know, I describe in the book, I'm standing there in the voiceover booth. And like you said, he asked me, he said, do you want to take a break in between each character? And I'm just oblivious to the whole voiceover world, really. And I'm just saying, no, I'm good. Let's do it. And so he's just frustrated at this point with me because I wasn't behaving in a professional manner in that setting. And the next thing I knew, I opened my mouth and I go from one script to the next. And, they have lines that you're supposed to read. So I'm
okay.
reading the lines, but I'm doing it as the character. And he was just dumbfounded by the end of the thing. And I'll leave that open ended as to what happens next. But
Yes.
that was that was heaven. That was the first time I was really auditioning in a high stakes environment.
Can you still do a couple voices for us now?
Yes, I can do this kind of voice. I don't know, I'm just doing this right now. Or I can do a Grumpy Bear's voice that I did for Care Bears. And I don't know, there's all kind of voices I can do. But the thing is, they're not voices, they're caricatures. So they're living, breathing beings. So I don't look at it as just doing a voice. The voice is like a byproduct of knowing the character. And when you know the character, then the voice just kind of takes over and changes.
So then you did those, and then you got a part on an NBC show, right?
Yeah, that was super exciting. It was a Katherine Heigl show called State of Affairs. And again, I went in, I was more interested in what the casting director had hung up on the wall rather than focusing and staying on the mark. And they were at a point where they're like, what are you doing? Because I remember like some cool posters. I don't remember what it was exactly, but I just left my mark and I went, oh my gosh, that's such a cool poster. And I was like a child in that casting room and they didn't know what to do with me. I was doing the scene. And the next thing I knew, I started breaking down and crying out of nowhere and they were just shocked. And I got a call, like I had a voiceover booking that day, finished the booking. I leave the booking. This is like 2 hours after that audition. And then it's my manager at the time on the phone saying, "Oh, they got you pinned for State of Affairs." I thought, "What? That's amazing. That's crazy." And then later on that day, I found out that I booked it. So some interesting things happened with that as well that I talked about in the book.
In the book too, yes. And the thing that got me the most is like The Chosen. You're like, what's up with that? You're like going, no, like you didn't. How am I gonna? I'm 30, gonna be playing a 50-year-old. Just reading this,
Yeah.
I'm like I had to put it down. And go, wait a minute, what's wrong with this guy? And then I had to pick it up again. You know.
I was very honest with it in the book, and I felt like I had to be honest because it wasn't like oh, I'm so happy I booked this role, because up until that point, um, I was going through the struggle that I think a lot of people who enter acting do, which is
Yeah.
I, I would like to be one of the leads in a show. Like, I don't want to be this supporting character that's 50 years old. Unless I am close to 50, then sure, book me as a 50-year-old, but I'm 37. Like, what is going on here? Um, but yeah, initially I didn't want to do it, and I said no to it about 3 times.
Yes,
We'll
three's
talk
the
about
charm.
but,
And I love your bantering with Dallas, meeting Dallas. He's and working with him as an extra. He's something else, and it's like
yeah.
what an amazing man to have worked with, even though it wasn't your feature. But there's you learn so much from him, don't you? I can imagine.
Well, there's a right off the bat, like I talk about in the book, how I took to the guy right away during
Yeah.
the audition. So I kind of put the audition aside during the audition for Zebedee, and I was more interested in how this guy was ticking and working and being as a human. Again, it's that love of humans, and my interest was piqued in. He's so there's something about him that's off, but I like him. So I started making jokes in between the scenes. One of them was, him asking me, "Are you familiar with what happens when Zebedee calls James and John?" And I said, "Yeah, he takes them out to burrito bowls at Chipotle to get burrito bowls." And him and Beverly would chuckle, really confused, like, "Who is this guy? What is he talking about?" But, but like in the book I described, there was something about him that made me want to poke at him, poke fun at him, and be sarcastic around him. So it's always it's always a fun gift when you're able to enter an audition situation where it's like, oh, I'm going to joke with these people. Like, they can handle it, they can take it. And they did take it, whether they liked it or not. But because I went in my mind thinking, well, I know I'm not right for this role. And I don't know why they brought me in, but I'm going to have fun while I'm here.
And you were perfect for the role. You have been
Oh,
perfect for
thanks.
the role.
Look, I
Uh,
love I love playing the character for sure. Look, I'm not I would be lying if I said I'm completely at peace with it. I'm still not, because I still feel like
yeah.
there's something meaty out there for me. I just don't know what it is. But as an artist, you do crave to genuinely play a role, play a character that does have this you know, high stakes storyline behind his character. But with Zebedee's role being enlarged with the show and the audience's reaction, like, I'm super thankful for that, because it is fun. He's such a fun character to play. So I do enjoy myself playing him.
Yeah, I remember meeting you back, I can't believe it, it was January of 2023 when you guys came to Los Angeles for the teal carpet. I think that was probably the first carpet you guys had done, wasn't it? Or had you done one before that? I don't.
Second,
The second. Okay.
first one was season 3. I
Season
remember
three.
that.
Okay. And it might have been, but I don't, it was the first time I think you came to LA, to
Yes,
do something
yes,
at the Ace
yes.
Hotel. So I met you there on the teal carpet, and it was great meeting you because I was telling you that I think you're such a comedian. And I even asked you, did you have to put fish on you for the role? And your answer is just was hilarious. Just like, yeah, nothing like having fish all over you when you're doing your role. So, and now they're in season 5 is, it's on the big screen. They had it this whole weekend during Easter. You could see all 3 parts, which is quite a bit, but it's just an amazing show. They're going on season 6 already.
Yes.
So, yeah, that's very good. So, also, are you going to be doing some in season 6 coming up that they're going to do? Will there
Yeah,
be?
Zebedee's back. Zebedee's back in season 6. Yeah.
All right.
He's back in there. Yeah, yeah. He'll be there.
Yeah, good. Yeah. I like that they gave you this last season, they gave you seemed a lot more scenes, and we get to see you, all of, with the Olive Gardens, I think. Was it grapes, olives? What is it?
Season 4, yeah, that was a lot of Zebedee going on. Season
Yeah,
3 and 4, there was a lot of
not
Zebedee's
of it.
going on with Olive Grove.
Yes.
And it's so funny. And it is something that it does feel like that's something he would do. He would just randomly do that.
Exactly. And I kind of read the book that the name Zebedee was pronounced wrong by you guys for quite some time, right?
Yeah, when my manager at the time sent me the audition, she was on the phone and I wrote about in the book how she tried her best, God bless her, to pronounce his name. And I don't have any reference really because I wasn't a Bible reader, so I
Yeah.
wouldn't even know what that name was. So she threw in the towel and she just said, "It's just Zebedee, honey. It's just Zebedee." And I thought, okay, Zebedee, that's an odd name. Let me look that
Oh.
up.
So that part made me chuckle. I'm on the train and I'm chuckling because of that. And people are looking at me like, what's going on over there? Because it was just funny. Nothing like having humor too.
Yeah.
So then also, because like I said, we still don't want to give away too much, but I got some of these pages back here where you talk about, let's see, what's this one? Because I do like the way you have your titles that you kind of give to the chapters. Like how do you find some, your, you know, those names and stuff? How do they come to you, the titles of your chapters?
It's
Share
interesting
those.
because they just did that. They just came to me. And when they came to me, they came to me with this sort of charge to them
Yeah.
and a life of their own. So I thought, okay, well, I've got to title this chapter this. I've got to title this chapter My Superpower. I've got to title this chapter Rashid Does Not Drink Protein. And the reactions I've been getting are just, it's been phenomenal because it confirms the inspiration that was coming towards me while I was writing this book of just even the chapter titles.
I gotta get all the way to page 241 before we see the sort of where you got the title from. And so that's pretty cool. I said it's better than making it at the beginning. And then I notice here back on page 245, you have in big bold letters, God. So I kind of like how it turns that way for you. And then how you were writing things down and then putting them in the book. What made you do that?
It was interesting. So people really clearly understand what was going on in my crazy mind was I'd written the book. It was all in body text format
Okay.
and your standard autobiography body text. And once my cousin came into town, we were editing everything together. The God that you mentioned is in big bold letters in the middle of the page. The word God, I said, would it be wrong for me to remove it from the body text, make him float right in the center of the page, outside of both body texts, and make him big and bold to represent him expanding in front of me? She said, no, you're the writer. You can do whatever you want. It's your book. You can format it however you want. And I thought, really? She said, yeah. I said, well, let's do that. Let's bring God in the middle. Did that. She goes back to Greece. I think I'm done editing the book. Next thing I know, as I'm reading and proofreading through, I start making these side commentaries in my mind about the specific situation at hand. Like one of them being, Nick, why'd you give her your number? Or Nick, or man, that was crazy. So then I thought, wouldn't it be interesting to add these side commentaries above certain body texts, make them italicized and bold? And that's going to be the mode of thought I was in as I was proofreading. So not only will the audience be able to read what's happening in the body text, but they'll be able to read my side opinions on my own writing as they're reading through it. So that's how that came about.
Oh, that's great. Do you have a special message that you want readers to get from this book?
I've said this before, and the one intention that kept pressing on me and really not even pressing, but pulling and pressing, just this innate knowingness, was that I wanted people to feel like they were reading their own autobiography as they read mine, and that I wanted them to be right there next to me as they were going through all these experiences that I was going through. And everything else that happens is up to each individual that reads it. I can't gauge or predict what's going to happen when people read it, but I know the intention with which I wrote it was that.
That's a great answer. Well, have you been bitten by the author bug, or what do you think?
Well, some people have been telling me like, no, you've got a few more books in you. I'm like, no, don't say that. They're like, no, now that you went through the formatting process, you went through the cover design process, you worked with you oversaw all of this, like the next one will be easier. And then one person told me something great. Who was it? They told me when you're called to write another book, it won't be forced. It'll be like this. You'll just write it.
Exactly.
And then I thought, you know what? That's fair. I can live with that. That's okay.
What you need to do, what you're probably been doing, you just got to keep journaling. That's that's your inspiration too. I journal myself. It's like, okay, I can't wait. I want to retire here next year or two. And I said I want to start that too, And
Yeah.
we all have a story. It's just how you present it, I think, that makes it interesting. Which you did an amazing job
Oh, thank you.
right here. You got Father's Day coming up. This is a great Father's Day gift. Mother's Day is coming up. There's all kinds of
Yeah.
birthdays, anniversaries, the holidays, Christmas. Just get several copies, one for yourself, and then book clubs. Come on, folks. There's a lot. It's such a great book. It's an honor to have met you, and thank you for reaching out. I would have never probably found out. That's how things happen. So God brought you into my life for a reason, and this is part of it too, to spread your message.
Thank
It's
you. Thanks so much
amazing.
for having me on.
I was gonna ask you really quick about your background. Where is it that you're at? That's so cool looking.
This, speaking of voiceover, it's a voiceover booth that I ordered from Spain during the lockdowns.
No
And
way.
it's an amazing company called Studio Bricks. You build it like Legos. So the piece is actually like IKEA furniture. You put the wooden pegs and they fall on top. And it's thick 3-layer wall with insulation in between each layer. So it barely picks up any sound from the outside. Barely anything.
Oh my goodness. I want one for me. So keep the kids
It's
in the
amazing
background
for
yelling.
things like this. It's amazing for recording voiceover in. It's just
Yeah.
amazing.
And do you still like doing voiceovers? Is that something you'll
When I get a chance to do them, I love them. They were
Yeah.
my first love, and it still is my first love. I actually, I actually, that is my first love, voiceover in acting. It's just, it's pure. There's something about it that just feels so pure when you're doing it because there's no camera on you, there's no looks. It's strictly based on performance.
So explain to us, those who don't really know, what is voiceover? I mean, are you given a script and then you're shown the film? How does it work? Is it just your voice and they add it
So
to
there's all kinds of voiceover for
Okay.
commercial. You're given a script
Okay.
and they call it copy. You're given copy of a spot and you're supposed
Okay.
to read it and understand how to deliver it with just your voice and your personality and your body.
Okay.
And you record it off of a podium. So you've got this little podium that your script sits on, mic's hanging in front of you. It's
Okay.
awesome. You don't need to memorize in voiceover. It's amazing.
Oh, wow.
And you could be there in the booth if you're fortunate and lucky enough to book a big commercial spot, let's say. Like once I came close to booking a voice of AM PM spots that
Mhm.
would have recorded multiple spots per month for 10 years straight.
No.
I would have gone into the voiceover booth probably once a week to record multiple spots, which would take an actor to film a whole episode. You're in there for a few hours in the booth. Depending on how big the voiceover gig is, you could end up making hundreds of thousands of dollars a year, if not millions over a span of, 2 to 3 to 4 or 5 years. So here you are, in your booth, in your pajamas, you know, making millions of dollars, and there are these actors sweating it out on set for like weeks at a time and making a fraction of that in commercials. Animation doesn't pay as much, but
Okay.
it's fun. Same concept. You're not given a commercial script, you're given a script that looks like a movie script.
Okay.
Interior, exterior, characters,
Oh,
dialogue, description. But now you're having to act that out in front of a microphone. Same kind of thing.
wow.
Yeah.
Wow. I figured there was difference, but you hear about voiceover and I just wasn't sure what that really meant for us
Yeah.
that didn't know. Thank you for explaining that.
Yes, yes. Like when I did Care Bears,
Yeah,
I go into
cameras.
the booth. First episode we recorded in a circle with all the actors.
Okay.
Once we got the flow down, they brought us in individually. Boom, you just go through your lines. Boom, 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 boom. Hour and a half, I'm done. I'm out. There's 2 episodes done of Care Bears.
Oh, wow. That's
Yeah.
pretty exciting. So what are you currently working on? Anything you could tell us about?
Well, I finished the book and now it's been just talking about the book, promoting the book. I've been flown out here and there to share my testimony of the Holy Spirit encounter. Um, Sort of, well, not sort of prepping, I guess. I am prepping for my stuff for The Chosen.
Those.
There's that going on as well.
Yeah.
Um, with the traveling I've been doing and all these different things pertaining to the book, it's kind of like I don't know if I want to fill the schedule up any more than it has. Um, so I'm fine being at where I'm at, and I'm actually going to be taking some time for myself just to go and take mini vacations here and there, take mini days off because I feel like I've kind of been at this thing for so long with just acting and career wise and just, and now with the book, I didn't expect to even write a book. So I'm gonna be more cognizant of taking better care that I don't spread myself too thin. And I have those days where even if it's a day trip somewhere, just to go to a restaurant and talk to people I've never met, just to get out there and do that kind of a thing because I feel like we get caught up sometimes in trying to push something so hard and you know I've actually let go of the whole concept of this book, to be honest, even succeeding or my acting career succeeding. I woke up with such a sense of peace and playfulness this morning that I've decided today to just throw caution to the wind and make it a priority to just be happy in my life over all of this stuff.
Wow. I'll take that advice too, because like I said, I really want to retire at the end of the year, and it's giving me anxiety because it's like, can I? And I'm used to making this paycheck, and but
Hey, you
I'm
know what
able
I
to get
see
my
for
day
you?
job.
What I see for you is a semi pseudo retirement, meaning you have all this energy that God's put into you
Yeah,
to give and give and give and give. Like you are a replenishment of one big water fountain, is what you are.
thank you.
And you will never fully be retired, but look at it this way. You will be taking temporary vacations, doing
All
some
right.
work, and then taking temporary vacation, doing some work. You'll be doing back and forth, I think, for the rest of your life.
Yeah. I work at a day job in LA. I want to retire from that, leave that and
Got
try
it.
to do what
Got it.
this full time, but it doesn't really pay, like we want it to. So it's that kind of stuff because I like interviewing people and meeting people and red carpets and all that kind of great stuff. So we'll see. I'll continue to pray.
Do it. Just yeah. This morning I prioritized. You know what?
Nice.
I just I wanna be happy. I forgot what that was like,
Yeah,
and
good.
and thinking about it makes me happy. So you know, I think we have to all go back to basics at a certain point and tell ourselves maybe I should pump the brakes on this and that and not worry about it so much. I mean, I'll keep doing interviews for the book, of course, and go share my encounter
Yeah.
story. But it's gonna have a different charge to it. Like it's not like I'm gonna be the priority in my life, not my career, not the book, not even share my testimony. Although I will always do that when people ask me to, because what happened with the Holy Spirit is real. Like I can't deny what happened. Um, so it's yeah. It's just that I think we need to step back and be like, well, what makes me happy, actually, um, because I'm giving all my energy to this, to that, to this TV show, and I'm contributing to its success, and that's great. But like, is that really making me happy? And what is that really doing for me at the end of the day? Or am I meant to just be here to live an unhappy life yet bring joy to others? Well, that doesn't seem balanced to me. That something feels off about that. So you can do both. You can bring joy to others, but you got to make sure you're happy too.
I know, and I'm learning that the hard way. So the two of us will do that.
We're gonna do it, Judy.
That's our goal. So,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
how about social media? Can we find you on social media? How can our viewers find you? Find your book?
Yes, I
Talk about it.
begrudgingly started an Instagram after many of my close relatives and friends told me to. So the Instagram is just like the title of the book. It's Transformer, but it comes with a dot. So it's Transformer dot autobiography. It's very easy.
Okay.
Um, Transformer dot autobiography. If they're having any issues with the spelling of that, if you just look up Nick Shakoour, it should prompt it to come up because
Okay.
I've kind of embedded my name in there so people could still find it. It's not my own personal Instagram for acting or any of that stuff. It's just
Okay.
strictly for the book.
For
So
the book.
everything on there that's posted is all book related.
Okay. Do you
Yeah.
have your own personal Facebook? Are you any social media? You stay off.
No, but I do want audiences to know there's somebody on Facebook that's impersonating me. He's got
Oh,
like 5,400 followers. He's posting about The Chosen. He's posting all these funny things. and it's not me, and people are
Okay.
thinking it's me. I don't have a Facebook or Instagram or anything like that.
Thank you
No.
for saying that because that happens a lot. And what's really happening, folks, is you really got to be careful because I like to follow people, and if they don't have that little blue check next to them, I kind of, I don't. But lots of times you'll comment things because you want to, and somebody will comment on that. Oh, this person, the actor wants to reach out, click on this, and it's all that is just such scams, and people fall for
Really
it
bad.
so
And
much.
I mean,
Yeah,
my Instagram doesn't have a blue check mark, but Transformer dot autobiography is my book's Instagram. Like it's legit. But the
good.
ones on Facebook, they're not. And we've tried to report the guy, but to no avail, and he refuses to shut it down. My cousin even asked him nicely. She reached out and he responded with, "Why don't you just let me live?"
Wow. Oh goodness.
I was like, nobody's asking you not to live, bro. Just at least put on there that it's a fan page. Don't
Yeah, fan
pretend to
page.
know.
Exactly. Oh, God's gonna show him a different kind of light if he's not careful.
Let's hope because it's kind of sad, but yeah, yeah.
Yeah, well, that's too bad. Well, thank you once again for taking the time to talk to the Hollywood Times, and we will be putting this up on our YouTube channel, Hollywood Times Official, so that everyone could view it on YouTube as well. We wish you all the best, and to you and your amazing family,
Thank you,
your
thank you.
mom.
You know them all now. You know them all.
Yes, you read this and you're going to know his whole family, and that's the best thing about it. It's all about knowing family. And this book will make you reach out to those of your family that you're not close to. Get
Oh
close
wow.
again, you know? It's all about family. That's why God gave us family.
It is. It is.
Yeah. So,
Thanks so
well,
much for having me on.
yeah, thank you. God bless you.
Let's do it. Thank you.
Thank you.